Hi guys, welcome to another installment of the Spellshot series. It's time once again to sketch pics and chill. So today we will be drawing the spell Rejuvenate, and the image that I chose for this was a bonsai tree. I picked that because in my head growth and rejuvenation are both deeply tied to plants, and while bonsai may not necessarily be the biggest plants and the fastest growing, they've just always been tied to mysticism for me. They've been tied to a lot of the magic books that I've read. A lot of the fantasy books I've read talk about them as like magical batteries and stuff. And so I kind of see bonsai as being these itty bitty little plants that hold a ridiculously large amount of energy. And wouldn't it be just so cool to draw as if this little itty bitty little baby mini tree, suddenly this spell is cast and explodes into this big giant, And so to me, this was kind of the thought here. It's the first video of a brand new year. We are making our way slowly but surely to comfort and confidence. I mean, I'm drawing trees on video. I have been terrified and struggled to draw trees my entire life. It's so bad that I stopped drawing landscapes and backgrounds in my paintings and pictures because I was so scared that I would have to put a tree there. Like, most kids draw a picture of their yard. I didn't, because even though the tree in my yard was this big, stumpy, cut-back willow, the reality is I was terrified I was going to mess up even that. And so that's actually been a theme with my art for years, and this is me trying to change that, trying to alter how I view my art and how I share it with others, and how self-conscious and how confident I am in it. It's been a process trying to fix that, and it's been rejuvenating for me. And so for our first video of the new year, that's what I wanted to talk about, and that's what I wanted to bring to the world, was cast my spell of rejuvenation and set this new space where we can grow and learn and gain. And like the willow in my front yard, learning doesn't always come painlessly. Growth doesn't always come without some pruning as well, but I don't know, I'm hopeful. I have high hopes for 2025. I have spent enough time in education to know that whatever your expectations you set, the world will find a way to rise or sink to them. And so for my 2025, I'm setting the expectation that, you know what, it's gonna be a good year, because I said so, and so now it's gonna be. And that boundless confidence may not have always served me well, but we'll find out if it's got the oomph to get what I want this time. I'm in the process right now of transitioning careers. I've officially put in my resignation at work, and I'm putting in applications elsewhere, trying to find something that I can do either remotely or do kind of close to home, where I can run back home during my lunch break, or take 10 minutes and call my wife when I need to. The school's been really great trying to work with me, but the reality is I can't do what I need to do for my wife and be there. And so it's going to be rejuvenating to try a new task, to learn a new thing. Speaking of learning new things, I am currently practicing that now. So this is the start of rebuilding my art skills and re-exploring talents that I knew that I had previously and have built over a long time. But and I'm really self-conscious about my art, and so I've been doing a lot of research, and some of what I've learned is that you're not so much supposed to tie yourself to your reference to the point that like you can't adjust your own composition. The reference is there to give you an idea of shapes and perspective and how to kind of construct the right textures more than it is about determining your composition and what everything looks like. Like, it's nice if you manage to get that one rare picture where your composition is perfect, but there's a reason photography is an art in and of itself, you know? And so right now is a perfect time while I'm inking to set things like perspective. So deciding that the trunk of the tree is the biggest, most forefront part. And when we get into drawing the different branches, I really wanted them to stand out. I really wanted them to be visible, and so deciding which parts of those are going to be in foreground versus midground, orientation of the leaves. So like if I had decided that maybe I wanted my leaves to be angled a little bit less so it doesn't draw your eye as aggressively down the image, all of those could have been really good ideas. I kind of kept my diagonal shape for that middle set of leaves, and I'm not sure if it was a good idea or a bad idea, but that's the joy of drawing trees and getting to know your artwork and your skills and style just a little bit better. You know, I'm not very familiar with trees because I haven't practiced them, and so this is an opportunity for me to practice them and to mess it up. And so, you know, the reason I say, should I have my middle set of leaves be so diagonal, is because kind of the whole point of composition is how you're pulling someone's eye through a drawing. And so right here, where we've got this big S curve with the tree, that's really what's supposed to draw the eye. It's supposed to draw your eye from the front all the way up into the back and the tippy top, or vice versa. And having the bits of leaves to break up that S shape helps to make it feel more realistic, because you know, you never see like a perfect S curve in nature that's not blocked by rocks or trees or something, and so it feels better to have it broken up and to have that suggestion of negative space. It's candy for the brain. It loves it. And so maybe by putting in that diagonal chunk with that mid-ground set of leaves, that might perhaps have been a mistake, because diagonals also direct the eye, and it's directing the eye in a different orientation, and so that might have been a mistake. But it's okay. We're learning. And this is part of that rejuvenation that I was talking about. Is I used to be such a perfectionist. Like, there was no such thing as a happy little accident in art. It was just glaring, awful mistakes and abject failure. And it didn't matter what I did or how good it was or how ugly it looked or how cute or anything. Like, it just, by being produced by my hand, it was ugly. And this is something I've kind of struggled with a lot in my life, is having this sense that what I have created is not good enough, is not worth it, is not valuable, does not have a right to take up the space that it does. And you know, that's hard. That's a hard thing to do to yourself, and it's a hard thing to have done to you. And it's really difficult as an adult and as an artist and professional and all kinds of things to be able to feel like I have the capacity to succeed and I have the right to do so, when everything produced by my hand has that air of, yeah, well, but you did it, so does it really count? And you know, that kind of self-deprecating voice in the back of my head isn't necessarily someone who I ignore so much as I debate. So like, I'll debate anyone on anything. I'll debate you on whether or not Rice Krispies are a necessary part of the Rice Krispie dessert, and we can have a fun time all day long. Hey guys, it's that time again. If you've made it this far in the video, please like, subscribe, and let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see me draw next. Please feel free to share your artwork, your ideas, and all the magical spells of your own life. Alright, and back to the video. But getting back to my point, the idea being that that voice has a right to speak its mind. Yes, you need to have that critical voice in your head to truly improve. And I need to be clear, you need a critical voice in your head to be able to improve. If you cannot criticize yourself, and if you cannot see your own work and your own actions as being inferior in some way, then you are too proud to ever be able to improve genuinely. But that criticism doesn't get to be valid just because it's critical of you. Just as you would be annoyed by someone giving McDonald's a nasty review because their food isn't good enough for a refined palate or whatever, that's not what it's there for. You're being invalid. Your criticism doesn't apply to what it is that you're criticizing. And so it's important to take a step back and to look at what the criticism actually is and have a conversation with that critical voice in your head. Okay, everything I make is garbage and crap, and you know what? It all should go into a landfill. Cool. Why? Why is my art not good enough? Why is my work not good enough? It can't be perspective, because I see plenty of people who don't know how to draw eyes in perspective, but they're drawing faces on the internet. It can't be my shoddy line work, because when I put my heart and soul into it like this, I actually can produce some really solid, suggestive, gestural line work. And I don't overwork it. I don't put so much in that you can no longer identify what's going on. I don't over-busify my images. So, why? And when you have that debate with the voice in your head, you're going to start to uncover the things that you are ashamed of and the things you aren't. And it turns out, and this is why my art channel exists now, is it's not that I'm ashamed of my art, because I'm not. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I think that I get to make some of the coolest pictures and images that I've ever seen, because I'm combining what I've seen from dozens of other images. But what I was ashamed of was me. I didn't think I'd worked hard enough or gone to the right school or done the right classes or had the right exposure to be considered good. I've always been put in a really weird place when it comes to criticism, and have received very little of it in beneficial ways when it comes to art especially. And so that's made me self-conscious because I don't know if what I have done is good or bad according to the words of others. I just know whether or not it's good or bad in comparison, because that's all I've been given. You know, I went to college, I was an art major for a minute there and then switched to become a minor. And my first drawing and painting classes were a nightmare because they were online and my professors did not provide criticism, they just provided feedback. So I'd paint this gradient of white to black and in acrylics, and they would send back, your paints are too thick. And I'm going, okay, but the assignment was gradients. What do you mean my paints are too thick? Do I need to buy new paints? I bought the paints you told me to buy. What do you mean? And they never explained to me. It wasn't until I had my bro from the geology department in my kitchen while I was complaining about how hard I'd been working that he said, wait, do you know you can thin paints with water? And I went, what? This was the first I'd ever heard that paints other than watercolor could be mixed with water. And so I'd been doing all of these paintings on end. Every Monday was a new painting that I was making for this class to discover color and using acrylic, and I did not know that I needed to add water. My palette was made of cardboard. It was sucking all of the water out of my hard body paints because I bought hard body paints because they're the most economical. That's what my professors recommended, so that I could just dilute them really aggressively and I'd have paints for days. I mean, I still have those paints, levels of paints for days. But I didn't ever get told that that's what I was doing wrong. I moved on to my first and only in-person painting class that I was allowed to take, and my professor had this very interesting life lesson for us there. He was not interested in grading and giving feedback over time to anyone for their art pieces. His interest was in the moment feedback. So we had presentation days. So we'd work on our artwork for 2 weeks. We'd get a demo 1 week, and the next week on the same day we'd be getting an art show gallery thing, and then we'd have work time for the other painting we have in progress. So, you know, we get the assignment, then we show off our piece from last assignment, then we, you know, get a new assignment, then we show off our piece from last assignment. It was a very regular schedule. It worked. But on showcase days, he didn't want to talk to anybody. He gave us all sticky notes, and we were supposed to walk around the room and look at the paintings, and whichever one we thought was the best and most appropriately hit the prompt or stood out the most to us or just looked really good, we were supposed to put a sticky note on, and we each got 3, and we couldn't put one on our own. And if you didn't get at least 3 sticky notes, then you didn't get talked about. I never had a single piece make it to 3 sticky notes. And so I never got to find out what it was about my artwork that nobody in my class liked at all. I mean nobody. I averaged between 0 and 1 sticky notes, and we have 25 kids in the classroom. This one gal, she got 6 or 7 sticky notes on average every presentation. And, you know, this is an art class, so part of what he's teaching us is to record our time and to determine how long we work on things. So, like, I've worked really hard to become efficient and to be able to do my work in a short period of time, because I think that's more important than being able to render out every itty-bitty little detail. It's important to be able to work on a timely fashion and to be able to start prioritizing what I do and don't want and get it on the page. And, you know, I was working on different skills, but clearly whatever it was that I was making wasn't making them happy. And so I never got told what it was that was bad about my drawings, because he didn't give feedback. For anybody who got sticky notes, we would spend time in class, and everybody who put a sticky on their painting would have the chance to raise their hand and tell 3 things that they saw in the painting. One good, and at least one good, and the others can be good or bad. But the problem is we spent so much time talking about everybody else's paintings, and I was sitting there going, they don't look anything like mine. They don't look like my subject matter. They don't look like what I'm interested in. And so a lot of my struggles as a young artist came from struggling to understand what I was doing that wasn't right. Having feedback, having a teacher or a mentor who was actually going to sit down and tell me what it was that they did or didn't like about my work. The best grades I got were when I went to the end of the year and turned in my personal pieces that I'd made just for fun to explore with the medium. I received almost no feedback the entire semester I was there in that class, and that's par for the course for me. And so I think for me, a lot of my insecurities came from only having the voice of that internal critic whispering in my ear, you suck, you suck, you suck, but not having any words for why. And so this year, my goal is, if I'm gonna say that I suck, I need to have a legitimate reason. So this is me, not